Hey folks, it's Finn. I thought this week we'd have a little bit of a relationship update catch-up style thingy because excitedly, me and Chris have just reached 6 months together. And yes, I'm well aware he deserves a medal.
Look at his gorgeous face.
Now what I want to talk about today ties into a video I made a long time ago about transitioning into a middle-aged man. Because that is effectively what happens when you start transition at 37 years of age. And this is really what I mean about, although the medical side of my transition is over, I'm really still in very early days of so many other things, because so much of me and my life is completely new. I am only just in this body for the last kind of 5 years, getting used to it. It's changed throughout those years as I've had different surgeries. For goodness sake, my penis is younger than I am, and not many people can say that. In every sense of the word, I've really only been alive for 8 years. It wasn't until I got clean and sober that I actually began sorting my life out. So not only am I stunted by drinking at 13 and then I didn't do the emotional growing up, I'm also stunted because I didn't start having my boyhood until 5 years ago. So all the things that young men are doing at that age, puberty upwards, I'm doing now. Which is both fun and slightly annoying. It requires a constant reevaluation of grief, really, of letting go of what you can't have. There is only so much you can have in transition. You can't turn back the clock. I can't go back to being a teenager. That's probably a good job. All of this newness becomes even more apparent within a relationship because I have never dated anyone sober. I've never entered a relationship sober. I have never been in a relationship with a man as a man. I know that's a bit complicated. I've never had sex with a man as a man. I'm still a virgin because my penis hasn't been anywhere, if you know what I mean. My mental health also makes things really new. I have a history of being very codependent in relationships. I only started to break out of that pattern with my ex-partner. And even that relationship wasn't 100% healthy. I was doing the best on my side. Can't speak from them, of course. But that was only the very beginning of coming out of that step. And so this is my first relationship since then with this completely new perspective on life, on how I deal with myself and how I relate to the world and how I relate to relationships. All that is really new. Everything is brand new. Do you see what I mean? So yes, this is brought into stark focus when you're in a relationship. And poor Chris, sorry babe, is on a rapid learning journey here. Because to him, which is wonderful, I'm just a bloke. It's amazing being with somebody that just sees me as I am, no question. Whenever I mention anything about being trans, he just kind of goes, oh, I forget, which is lovely. But, whilst it is lovely, it also means he often forgets how new I am, which has caused a few teeny teething problems. I think the two biggest areas that are an issue for me at the moment are making sure my relationship stays healthy. I don't ever want to go back to the old way I was. In the last few years I've been single, I have really developed an amazingly strong relationship with myself, a really strong independence. I'm loving having my own flat. I'm loving paying my own bills. Well, not actually spending money, but you know what I mean. Because all of that stuff I never did when I was drinking because I couldn't manage bills and flats and whatever. I did live-in work. And being with partners, I only ever moved in with partners in a very codependent sense. So this time around, I want to do things very differently. And so I'm finding a lot of internal conflict is happening. Because on the one hand, I've completely fallen for Chris. Yes, you heard it here on YouTube. I love Chris. I wasn't expecting this, as you know. I went on a date and ended up finding a relationship which surprised me a lot. In a very good way. But it is meaning I'm having to do a lot of reevaluation. Chris needed to move out of his flat, so he decided to move to Eastbourne, which makes complete sense. Because of the way we feel about each other, we decided to choose a flat together. Don't panic, not moved in yet. But we have a view to me moving in when my tenancy is up here in April next year. That's sensible, right? So what I'm finding is I'm going back and forward a lot in my head. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't wait to move in with him. And other times I'm like, I'm not giving up my independence. I can't risk all of this, blah, 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 blah. Freak out! I can be guilty at times of overthinking. Really? You can't tell? It's because I've only really in the last 5 years started to trust my thoughts and feelings, because I couldn't before in the past. So it's still new for me to have a feeling and know 100% I can trust it. So it's really hard. It's really, really hard. Most of the time I want to move in with him, but then I get these other times where I'm freaking out like hell. And not freaking out because I don't want to live with him. I guess freaking out over a worry that I might slip into old bad patterns in being codependent, in being controlled and all of that. Because I do have this very dark history of relationships in codependence and in really negative, unhealthy relationships, because when you're not mentally well yourself, you tend to choose people that are bad for you, you know? So I chose people that were very controlling and all of that. And no, the lovely Furfer is not like that at all. But it doesn't stop me worrying about it because I'm an overthinker. The other area that this is causing problems in is in my sex life. I am a typical teenager. Those of you that follow me will know that last summer I experimented a lot with polyamory. And I was convinced at the time that that was my way forward. That was a healthier, more responsible way of being with different people in a consensual way and exploring this new body. Because, wow, you know, I've only just started to really enjoy my body, enjoy looking at it, enjoy using it, having it touched. And I want to explore that as much as I possibly can. And so for me, polyamory made sense that I could do that. And then I fell for Chris. And then this conflict comes up again in that I'm 44 and I want to be settling down. But in every other sense, I'm a teenager and I want to go and sow my wild oats. These two do not go together. And this is exactly what I mean about transitioning straight into middle age, because I can't have that growing up boyhood that I would have had I actually been born with the body of a male person. My sex drive is high. It's really high. It's never been high. I've never had a sex drive. It arrived on testosterone. Really couldn't use it because the dysphoria was still there, but now the dysphoria's not there. I want to use it. Chris is 45, he's done his wild oats and high sex drive and all of that. He just wants to settle down. Whereas I want to play. So it's really, really hard. And it has come to a bit of a head with us. We've had discussions about this because we both clearly love each other, but there are these little things that are causing niggles and could potentially be a real issue. So what do I do? Well, you talk, because that's a grown-up thing to do, and we have. And I have considered whether I need to leave this relationship and have that time sowing my wild oats and all of that. But we had a few days apart last week, and I just missed him dreadfully and was so sad at the thought of it being over. So that's not an option for me. And neither is it for him, which is good. So we're talking, we're negotiating, and actually that is helping to solve issue one, the issue of being in an unhealthy relationship, because the fact that we can talk very openly and honestly and he can hear what I have to say without freaking out and can be very wise and understanding really does reassure me that we are in a healthy relationship and that this is okay. That's one issue solved. The high sex drive is a little more complicated, but I'm absolutely certain I only want one person in my life, and that person is this one. So I think a lot of this is going to be like it was before when I had this grieving period, is in letting go. In letting go of what I can't have, because even if I was sowing my wild oats, I'm 44, coming up 45. I'm not going to be clubbing and picking up guys and all of that business. I'd rather be sat at home with a tub of Ben and Jerry's and my feet up. I don't need to explore the fact if I'm gay or not. I know I'm gay, and that's fine. It's just going to mean letting go of the fact that I won't ever have that boyhood and the chance to explore my new body with lots of different people and be wild. You know, it can't happen. But what I can have is a loving partner who understands and is patient and is caring and can help me work through this. Lots of partners have sex drives that don't quite meet in the middle, and there's ways round it as long as you keep talking. So that is the way forward for us. This is not going to be the first and the last thing that comes up as an issue. Sorry, Chris. Because so much is new, you know, so very much of my life, my body, my interactions with other people is completely new. And I think Chris is starting to understand a little bit more about the enormity of that and be a little bit more understanding when I kind of overthink or freak out or whatever, you know, because it is literally like somebody woke me up 8 years ago and plopped me here. And I'm like, oh, there's a penis. Oh, there's a flat chest. Oh, there's a furry face. And, you know, it's just all new. And if I was 15, nobody would bat an eyelid at how I'm being, because it'd be expected. But at my age, I'm supposed to have my stuff together and know what I'm doing, be relaxed in myself, confident in myself, and sure of what I want and who I am. And I'm still working on all of that. So yes, having relationships when you're transgender with somebody who isn't transgender and who doesn't know much about transgender people, it's complicated, but it's also beautiful because he just sees me as me, and that is a real gift. And I guess what the last kind of month or so has taught me in this relationship is that I'm a completely different person. I'm not going to be slipping back to old patterns because I think too much of myself now to let that happen. And it's quite clear that Chris is awake, alert and sensible and wants to have the best for each of us individually and together. So I don't need to worry about that. I'm ready to move in. I think if anything, this kind of bit of a hiccup has shown me more than ever that I'm ready. You know, of course it's a risk. It's always a risk, isn't it? But the risk isn't about me losing myself. Absolutely not. I'm much stronger as a person now, and that's fine. And the other stuff can all be worked out when you've got a partner that you can talk to, when your relationship is healthy, when you both come from a place of love and wanting to do the best by each other and for each other, then it does work, doesn't it? But yeah, being an older trans person is no picnic for sure. Well, that was a bit of a long ramble, wasn't it? So that's where we are. We're in a lovely place. 6 months together. We laugh every day. He's just a breath of fresh air. I love him so much. I had no idea that I could feel this happy and comfortable in a relationship in every sense possible. Everything works. You know, I just love his furry face. I love his big arms. I love everything about being with him, and we're off on our first holiday on Saturday, which is incredibly exciting. We're going to somewhere that I keep wanting to call Ace Ventura, but it's Fuerteventura, somewhere in the Canary Islands. So yeah, it's all exciting times. 6 months, and in 6 months' time we shall be living together. Yes, exciting. As we're away, there won't be a vlog next week, but I shall take some footage while we're away and I shall make a little holiday vlog for when we come back. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget, there are now 2 ways to be kept up to date with all the regular Finnstalments. You can hit the subscribe button on here to be kept up to date with all the videos, and you can hit this button here to be taken over to my website where you can sign up to a newsletter for extra Finnstalments. Have a great rest of week and weekend. See you in a week's time, folks. Bye bye.